Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to spray paint the Lexan body. Well, before we get too much further, I just wanted to say thank you for stopping in and taking a look at another one of my videos. Now before we get to painting, I wanted to go over just a few things. So the first thing is I have cleaned and pre-masked this body. So that step has already been done, and I just used Dawn dishwashing liquid and some hot water, get my fingers in all the cracks and crevices, really get it clean. Manufacturers spray a releasing agent on the molds of these things, and that releasing agent causes some adhesion problems with the paint. Now the next thing that I want to mention is that I have been soaking this can of paint in some hot water. Now the temperature of this water is just what comes out of your faucet. I didn't do anything special for heating it up. Putting a little bit of heat in the can really helps the paint come out as a fine atomization, and you'll get a much better finish when you're painting. The next thing I have done is I have shaken this can very, very well. That is a very important step whenever you're doing spray painting. Now black is not my preference of color, but that's going to be the one that comes out on the camera the best, so I can really show you the steps in order to paint this. Another tip for you is to wait for a pretty day to paint. Today we have a mostly sunny day. It's about 60 degrees outside. The humidity is starting to get a bit high. It's about 78%. So I would not recommend painting on days that are rainy, where your humidity is going to be very, very high. That just makes it hard for you to paint. Okay, now that we're outside here, we're going to go ahead and paint up this body. So the first tip is here, you've shaken this can really, really well. Now we're going to turn this can upside down, and we're going to spray some paint out of it. If you have any gunk in the bottom of your can here, you're going to find that that will clear that out for you. So just turn it upside down and spray out some paint. Now we're going to take the body here, and this is pretty simple. We're just going to do the lightest amount of paint in here that we can. So just a little light coat. We're going to hit everything that needs to be painted, and just the lightest bit that we can do. And I don't know how well that's coming out on camera, but that is just the super lightest bit of paint that we can. If we do it like this, and we use this hair dryer in order to dry that paint, you're going to find that it's just going to go a lot faster for you. So we're just going to hit this real quick. And that's really all we need to do as far as the hair dryer goes. If we just kind of keep layering this thin paint at a time and blow dry between coats, you're going to find that this goes much, much faster. If you lay your paint on heavy, you're going to have several hours for that to set up and cure, and you run the risk of running your paint. So make sure that you go very, very slow with this process, and it'll go a lot smoother for you. So we're going to do another spray here, but before we do that, we always shake our can. And again, a very light coat, that's all we're after here. So now we have another really light coat. You see this is already starting to darken up, so this doesn't take too many coats when you do it like this, but again, we'll hit it with a hair dryer. Once again, we'll do another light coat. Make sure you shake your can. Just keep it light. You always want to make sure that you try and keep your spray can about 6 to 8 inches from your work. That again will reduce some running. Now I appear to be having some kind of issue with my spray can here. It almost feels like the pressure is pretty low. This happens from time to time, and sometimes you might just have to replace the can and get you another one. Hopefully we can get this finished up. Black is a color that covers really, really well, so this might work out for us. Once again, we'll just do the hairdryer. Now see if I can position this for you so you can see it. If you look up here in the grill, I don't know how well that's coming out on camera, but right in this area right here, the paint is a little bit thin. In the inside of the body, this has a pretty deep cut in here, and you want to make sure that you wait until near the end before you try and fill all that in, because you'll get a run if you don't. So we'll focus on that now. Now it may seem like I'm putting a lot of paint on right now, but remember, I'm having some issues with the spray can. So if we're gonna have this issue, it's best to have it late in the paint job because we're mostly painted. It's gonna cover up a lot of those mistakes if you do have a run because of this issue. All right, so now I'm just gonna give it a once over, make sure that I have a good coverage. I'm gonna hold it up to the sky so that way I can try and look through it and see if I have any light spots, and then do some minor touch up. With a color like black, it's going to cover really well. You're not going to have too much of that going on, but if you painted a color like yellow, that's an important step. All right, so I've identified a couple of those areas that are issues, so I'm going to try and do an extra coverage area. My spray can is getting really, really weak now, so again, we've gotten lucky in the sense that we've painted black here, and that way we'll be able to get this finished up. So let's just get those light spots now. All right, now that all that paint is done, we're gonna go ahead and hit it with a hairdryer one more time. Well guys, I hope you can see how easy it was to spray paint a Lexan body. And if you remember, I did have some issues out of this spray can, but I didn't let it slow me down. And just remember, keep layering your paint on as thin as possible and hit it with a hairdryer between coats. You're going to minimize the possibilities that you'll screw this up. Now, one last tip before I let you go, make sure that you let this paint set up and cure. The hairdryer is not a substitute for curing. The curing process will make your paint much harder and much more durable. That way, when you go to cut this out, you won't chip up and scratch your paint. If you stay tuned for future videos, my plan is to cut this out, show you the tools and materials needed to do that. So if you would like to see that, make sure that you subscribe. And if you benefited from this video, please consider giving me a thumbs up and of course a subscription, as I mentioned before. But also remember to hit that bell. I mention this in all of my videos. If you're not hitting that bell, you're not getting notified when the new content goes up. So go back and do that for all of your subscriptions. Well, that'll wrap it up for this one, and I hope to see you in the next one.